Roads vs. Rails, Book 24.5, written by Grace RJ1. Hello YouTube. Now before we get into this story, I did just realise I did a goof with written. Sorry, that was a mistake. I might go back and fix it if I put this as a thumbnail. However, I just want to say that I did edit these pictures to give the engines faces, and in one of the stories removed Peter, Sam and Sir Handel's nameplates. And the game used in this was called SKR Sodor 1955, made by Green Strains, and I did also do a little bit of a rewrite on this bus here, which will appear in this story. So let's get into it. Peter, Sam and the bus. Peter, Sam was doing Duncan's jobs. Duncan had derailed, and so Peter, Sam was sent to do the jobs for Duncan. Peter, Sam was enjoying doing his jobs as well as his own. However, Mr. Percival had sent some buses to go and help out with Duncan's jobs, and a couple of days later, after the buses arrived, Peter, Sam met one. The bus line ran from Crovens Gate all the way up to Lakeside, and one of the days that Peter, Sam was on Lakeside, he saw one of the buses that came out to help Duncan for the first time. "Hello," said Peter, Sam. "I'm Peter, Sam." "I'm Cedric," said Cedric the bus. He was painted red and looked a lot like Bertie. He had Skarloey railway bus lines painted on his side with a black nameplate saying Cedric on. "What are you doing here?" said Peter, Sam. "I'm helping out with another engine's jobs." "Was his name Duncan?" said the bus. "Yes, I'm doing his jobs," said Peter, Sam. "I doubt that," said Cedric. "I am doing his jobs along with the other buses. I heard he was painted red and blue like you. At least us buses can go anywhere we want." "Anywhere?" asked Peter, Sam. "Anywhere," said Cedric. He rolled out and away from Lakeside with his passengers. Peter, Sam was not happy about Cedric. He did not like him. He told James about Cedric. He didn't know, however, that Cedric was overhearing him. However, he was talking to James about Cedric. "And I met this bus earlier today," said Peter, Sam. "His name was Cedric." "Oh," said James. "Was he rude?" he asked. "Yes, he was not very nice," said Peter, Sam. "Well, many years ago, I heard that Thomas raced a bus named Bertie. He came out and won. Maybe you should try racing him. You will put him in his misery," said James. Peter, Sam thought about it, but kindly declined. However, neither of the engines knew that Cedric had overheard, and the many days after that, he had kept on challenging Peter, Sam to a race. He always said, "Hello, Peter, Sam, want a race?" And then he always finished it off to a certain station. "No, thank you," said Peter, Sam. "I am busy." And he would always steam ahead. And then Cedric would always try to catch up. He was a very reckless driver. He would never keep in the lane he was meant to be in. He would always drive onto different lanes, which made him a very reckless driver. "Be careful," Peter, Sam would say. "Who cares? I have never had a crash," said Cedric. "Well, you will," said Peter, Sam, "if you're not careful." One of the days after he said his warning to Cedric, Cedric was driving recklessly as normal. However, he was meant to go on over the tracks on the roads that crossed over it. However, with how reckless he was, he missed it and mowed over the rails. His back wheel got stuck. "Oh dear," said Cedric. "I'm stuck." However, no one came to help him. The station master tried to warn Peter Sam as he steamed down the line, but it was a very windy day, and Peter Sam and no one heard him. Was he saying something?" asked Peter Sam. "Probably nothing," said his driver. They were steaming down nicely, and then they spotted Cedric up ahead. "Brake, driver, brake!" shouted Peter Sam. However, his driver didn't hear him, and then when he finally saw Cedric, it was too late. They ran through the back of Cedric and broke the back of him off. Luckily, everyone had gotten out and was complaining to Cedric. But Peter Sam was shocked. "I'm sorry," said Peter Sam. "I was not trying to." "Yes, you were," said Cedric. And then the person that had built Cedric came over to him. "Cedric," he said, you are the only bus that's worked here so far that has been rude to these engines. I'm going to send you over to Crovens Gate, leave you in the pieces you are in, and then you can be a statue there, where it's a role model to any other car that comes here or bus that goes there, to show you that to show them to not be reckless." "Yes, sir," said Cedric. He now has stayed at Crovens Gate, in the middle of the parking lot, as a statue. He has never moved since the crash, but I think he deserved to be put on a statue. He was never really that useful as the bus, don't you? Peter Sam and Sir Randall's trick. A couple weeks after Cedric had been sent over to Crovens Gate as a statue, Bill and Ben was steaming over to the Skarloey railway sheds, where they were bringing coal for the engines. "Hello," they said. "Hello," said Peter Sam. I don't believe we've met." "This is Sir Randall, and I'm Peter Sam." "I'm Bill," said Bill. "And I'm Ben," said Ben. The two narrow gauge engines told Bill and Ben about what had been happening with them and Cedric. And then Bill and Ben told them what they had done to Boko when he first arrived. This gave the two engines an idea. However, they didn't put it into plan. Peter Sam was laughing at the situation, but Sir Handel, well, he was thinking on using their trick on the buses. He found it funny too, but he was more interested on using Bill and Ben's trick on the buses than laughing. However, they didn't do the trick without asking Edward, because he shortly arrived after Bill and Ben had gone under the bridge. "Hello," they both said. "Hello," said Edward. "I'm just here to take a small rest. My wheels are aching as I've had to puff all the way from the other side of the island." "Oh dear," said Sir Randall. "Anyways, Bill and Ben were laughing. What's going on?" asked Edward. "Well, they told us about their trick they did on Boko when he first arrived," said Peter Sam. "Oh, their tricks," said Edward. "Don't do that trick they did," said Edward. "They were lucky enough to not get in trouble. But you will for sure get in trouble. Sir Topham Hatt and Mr. Percival do not like having the same things done over and over again if it's harmful to the other engines or other people," said Edward. However, Sir Handel and Peter Sam were very worried that the other buses might have been rude as well, so they decided to do their plan. However, they still did their plan. They had their drivers and firemen take off their nameplates and numbers like Bill and Ben had done. And then they saw a bus up ahead. Sir Handel and Peter Sam played the same trick that Bill and Ben had done. However, the bus was shocked. the speeds they were moving at, she thought they were the same engine. "How are you teleporting?" said the bus. However, the two engines couldn't keep on doing it. They were beginning to get worn out, so they decided to reveal themselves as two different engines. "Oh my," said the bus. "That's what you get for being rude," said Peter Sam. "But I've never met you both in my life," said the bus. "Mate, you're right," said Sir Randall. "Peter Sam, why were you doing this? It was your idea." "No, it was yours," said Peter Sam. "No, it was yours," said Sir Randall. "You were the one who wanted to play this trick in the first place," said Peter Sam. "Please just apologise," said the bus. "Sorry," they both said. "And what's your name?" asked Sir Randall. "Well, I'm Dela. It's Portuguese, if that's how you say it, for Ella. So I'm Ella, but because it's Portuguese, so I'm Dela." "Nice to meet you, Dela. We're sorry," the two said. "We didn't realise you were a nice bus." "Yes, but about Cedric, I'm sorry about him. He was the only ruse bus there, but he was not very nice." "Ah, yes, it was about Cedric," said the two engines. "Oh, that's all right. You have both learned about the lesson now," said Dela. "That's okay," said Sir Peter Sam. "We're sorry," said Sir Randall. "We thought you were a ruse bus." "That's okay," said Dela. "But you think you should go and talk to the one that accepted this." "Well," said Peter Sam, "we did it ourselves." "Well, just can you go back to your sheds and talk to the person that you may be asked? Because I did hear you both, because I did see you both talking to a big blue engine that was a 440 wheel arrangement engine." "Oh, you mean Edward?" said Peter Sam. "Yes, you might want to tell him what you've done, so we can tell your controller, because I don't think you both will be up to telling him," said Dela. "You're right," they said. "Anyways, goodbye, Dela," they both said, and they both steamed away back to the sheds. However, they did not get a chance to talk to Edward. Rheneas was there, and he had heard exactly what they had done. "You silly engines," said Rheneas. "Why did you go and, trick that bus into thinking there was one of you that was teleporting?" "Well, Bill and Ben had done it," said Sir Handel. "Just because some other engines did it does not mean you should," said Rheneas. He angrily wished at the two engines. The two engines were sad and looked at the rails. "Well, I did warn them," said Edward. "They are only young guns, though, aren't they?" said Edward. "No, Edward," said Rheneas. "They are over 20, and they should know to not do such a thing." "Oh dear," said Edward. "Sorry," they both said. "You should be," said a voice. It was Mr. Percival, and he talked to the two engines. "You should not be playing tricks like this on others. It's very rude, so we'll be taking away your red paint and painting you blue, red and green. Is that understood?" said Mr. Percival. "And make you go and work at the incline until you both can behave. And then you must prove yourself to get your red paint back," said Mr. Percival. "Yes, sir," they both said. So Edward went and got a flatbed, and the two steamed onto it. They were not happy. Sir Handel and Peter Sam. So forgot to say the title. It's Incline Helpers. Sir Handel and Peter Sam have been sent to work at the Incline. They were painted in their liveries as the liveries they were in when they worked on their last railway. However, with some Skarloey railway additions, mainly keeping their nameplates, keeping the new form of numbers on them, and having new red lining. Peter Sam was not happy about the work, but the handle was grumbling. Another reason why they were painted in their old liveries was so the trucks could tell them apart. I hate this job, said Sir Randall. I do too, said Peter Sam, but we got to do it if we want our old paint and go back to normal work. Well, I am not doing it. I'm going on strike, said Sir Randall. Then have fun being stuck here forever, said Peter Sam. This got Sir Randall to carry on doing his jobs. He did not want to stay at the incline forever. A couple of days later, Peter Sam was shooting the empty trucks, on the side of the incline. However, the trucks had tried to break away from the incline, so they ended up tangling up the rope. Now they could not go up or down, so Peter Sam was sent to go and push the trucks up with the rope uncoupled. It was hard work. His wheels slipped going up the incline. He dropped sand. Nearly no sand got onto his wheels as it ran down the rails. He had a tough time getting to the trucks, but he eventually got there and began to push. He was having heavy wheel slip. Sand was not helping him much, and workmen even came to hurry and help push him up the hill. It was hard work, but he eventually did it. That was hard work, he said as he got to the top and shunted them away. Now it's time to get these filled up. Time to head back down, he said as he shunted them and went back down the incline. Later that day, the workmen had untangled the ropes, and then they got back to work. The same trucks that Peter Sam had brought up was being brought down, so Handel was at the bottom waiting for them. However, the trucks still wanted to play about. They were trying as hard as they could to break free, and eventually they did. They wanted to get rid of Sir Handel more than getting rid of Peter Sam. As they thundered down the incline, Sir Handel slowly began to back up. Peter Sam saw this and also began to back up to go and help Sir Handel. As Sir Handel began to steam down the line, the trucks caught up to him. They nearly derailed him, but they slowly got to his buffer beam, and if Sir Handel had not gotten up to speed quick enough, he would have derailed. Peter Sam got behind Sir Handel, and the two began to brake. They eventually came to a stop, and then they both pushed the trucks into a siding, and Peter Sam took the train away. And that night, Mr. Percival came to them. He was very pleased with their work, and gave them back their old paint jobs and let them go back to their normal jobs. He was pleased that they both had stopped the runaway and stopped the trucks from getting the incline tied up, and they couldn't go up or down. He was happy for them. Rheneas and Dela. The engines were at the sheds, and they were talking about the buses. I recommend trying to show Mr. Percival that we're better, said Skarloey. But won't he still use the buses? Said Peter Sam. Well, it's our only chance, said Rusty. If you say so, said Sir Handel. I recommend Rheneas doing it. He's saved our railway but once, and you can do it again, isn't that right, Rheneas? Said Skarloey. I suppose so, said Rheneas. So he went and got some coaches and went on his way. he enjoys the ride, and he steamed over the bridge between Rheneas and Lakeside. When he finally got to Lakeside, he saw Dela there. Dela tried to talk to Rheneas. "Oh, hello," said Dela. But Rheneas just reached steam at her. "I don't have time to talk to buzzards that are trying to replace us," said Rheneas. And as soon as the guard's whistle blew, he slowly began to race away. "Oh dear," said Dela. "Why isn't he listening to me?" And she rolled after him. Every stop that Rheneas did, Dela was always there. They eventually got to Skarloey, where Rheneas was worn out. "Oh, I can't keep on doing this," said Rheneas. But Dela talked to Rheneas. "Hello, I'm Dela," said Dela. What do you mean?" said Rheneas. "Oh, it's Portuguese for Ella. Anyways, I was only sent here to do Duncan's jobs along with some other bussies. I was not intentionally trying to replace you. You probably weren't told that I was a nice bus, were you?" said Dela. "No, I was not. I thought you were trying to replace us," said Rheneas. "So, those two red engines that look almost identical didn't tell you?" said Dela. Who do you mean?" said Rheneas. "Oh, when I first saw them, and the last time I saw them, they didn't have a nameplate or numbers on." "So you mean Sir Handel and Peter Sam?" said Rheneas. "Oh yes, those two engines," said Dela. "Well, they didn't tell me that you were a nice bus," said Rheneas. "Oh, that's all right," said Dela. "We don't always get things right." "I didn't know you were not trying to replace us." "That's also perfectly all right," said Dela. "We all make mistakes. Anyways, I'll be going back to my jobs now. Enjoy the rest of your day," said Dela as she rolled away. "You too," said Rheneas. Later that day, Rheneas returned back to the sheds where Rusty, Skarloey, Sir Handel, and Peter Sam were. He told them about Dela and how she told him that Cedric was the only ruse bus. She understood him, not thinking she was trying to replace them. Then Mr. Percival came and told the engines to go to Craven's Gate. Not only was Cedric, Dela, James, and Edward was there, but the engines arrived there as well. "So, since Duncan will be returning tomorrow," said Mr. Percival, "I have brought Dela. She'll be helping out on your railway. When you have too many passengers, she will take the passengers for you, and then when people can't have a tour, because it's either too expensive for them to go on by rail, or the trains are full, Dela will take them." The engines all apologised to Dela, and she smiled. "That's perfectly all right. We all make mistakes," she said. "I'm also going to extend her line from Craven's Gate all the way over to the Incline." The engines whistled, and everyone was happy. James felt a bit sad because he almost got Peter Sam to race Cedric, but Peter Sam said to him that it was perfectly okay that he accidentally said it. He knew that he was trying to just get Peter Sam to try and show Cedric who was better. The engines were happy, and Mr. Percival was happy, as well as Stella. Hello YouTube, Great RJ1 here. So, yeah, that was these stories. that were in there. So, yeah. Now, I think you might have been a bit shocked to see Peter Sammons and Randall in their TV series liveries, but still, I just thought there would be a nice punishment. Now, I forgot to mention that Duncan did arrive back the next day, and coincidentally, on that same day, it was the day, and a couple of days later, he, along with the other engines, Peter Sammons and Handel, listened to Peter Sammons and Handel's stories about him on the about their stories on the Sodor Railway, and with Duke. So I did forget to mention that, but yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this railway series fan book, you could say. I am up to doing more, as I already have about 3 plans. 3 more. We have 1 about Sandy and 2 about Spencer. So those 2 will be in the works. So yeah. Anyways, that's basically it for today's railway series fan-made book, you could say. So I know it was a bit strange introducing new characters, but I thought the Skarloey Railway needed, because the buses, because Duncan had to get repairs, was a bit, just had to work with the book. I could have put George or Baldy in there, but to be honest, I think having these buses was good. So yeah, now there will not be any more books that I'll make that are connected to this, unless I release 2 versions, one where one is not connected to any of the other books, and one where they are. But don't expect any to be connected. So yeah, like I said before, the game used was SKR Sodor 1955, and it was made by Green's Trains. So yeah, anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.